Welcome back. Wing It Podcast, goosedigital.com. Who do we have?
Chris O'Neill.
Renata Ramastra.
And Kaylee Bornbaum from Camp Ooch.
And Michael Turksani. Welcome, Kaylee.
Thanks. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, from Camp Ooch. So we're here in the new office. This is like we're beta testing a new microphone setup right now. We don't know if this is going to go okay or if people can hear us.
Looks good.
It looks good. Mm-hmm. We look good.
We always look good.
We think it's episode 20. We're not sure, but we're gonna make it episode 20 because you guys have a goal this year.
Yeah, so this year we will hit, or we're expecting to hit $20 million raised for Camp Ooch through the Sporting Life 10K.
Wow.
Awesome. That's huge. Yeah. That's huge.
The Sporting Life 10K.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're here.
It is. Yeah, it's a really exciting event on May 12th, Sunday, May 12th, Mother's Day, where over 22,000 people will run for Ooch in both Toronto and Ottawa and come together to send kids affected by childhood cancer to camp.
Amazing. So we have a thing at Goose. We got into this program last year for the first time. We have a little umbrella that we call Goose Gives Back. We've got some photos actually from the run last year that introduces that section on our site where we participate in a few different programs on an annual basis. There's some cancer care programs that we are a big part of, as well as wildlife and conservation protection. So this one's, Chris, I'll let you do the intro, how we kind of got into this, and we can maybe spin off of that in terms of, why it's so important.
Yeah. So I had the honor of being selected about a year and a bit ago to find us a team builder. And so through some discussions with some people that I knew, and I had heard about the 10K, about the Sporting Life 10K, but much to my joy, it turned out that was actually leading to something a lot larger than what I thought. So it started out as being like a team building thing for all of our millennials who are in great shape and fit and able to kind of cover 10K. It was like giving this to this organization that's so important to a group of our family and friends that are going through some pretty challenging times. So that was, to me anyways, it was like an eye-opener because, here we have, and it was, because it was my first time on the 10K as well, the humanity, like the number of people. I had never been in that large of a crowd before. And it was stunning because just even, getting ready to run, it was an experience like I'd never had before. I mean,
Yeah. I agree. Why, you talk a little bit maybe about the run and how it's been so great for Camp Ooch and just what you see as sort of like this type of an event.
Yeah, it's really neat. So you guys actually joined over 80 organizations, corporate organizations from across the GTA who come together as a part of our corporate challenge. And it's a great opportunity to hit the pavement with your colleagues and your family and your friends and make Mother's Day have a great impact on kids. So we have been working with Sporting Life since 2000, and the run has grown year over year and become this iconic run down Yonge Street. And each year we're inspired by how many people come together and take that first step. Many people haven't done a 10K before, and this is the first time they are either walking a 10K or jogging, and I think that's something special about the 10K. It's a really accessible event where people can be racing for a personal best or be getting out there for the first time and be celebrated through that journey. Yeah,
I mean, we had a group of runners and we had a group of walkers. And I think certainly was extremely overwhelming, the volume of people that do this event now. And I think, what was last year's raise? 19 over?
So we raised last year over $2.1 million.
So you're at the 19 million.
So
we should be able to break the 20 million mark this year.
That is the goal. That's the goal. We're trying to raise $2.1 million again because, Ooch is privately funded. And so we know that every $300 that's raised sends a kid to camp for a day.
Wow.
And so, it has a huge impact on us being able to deliver programs.
Wow. That's so. Maybe you could give our listeners a kind of an overview of Camp Ooch and what you guys do on an annual basis, some of the cool programs that you've done over the last few years to really develop the camp.
Most definitely. So Ooch has been around for over 35 years, and we are a camp and year-round social support system for kids affected by childhood cancer. So we are the only overnight camp in Canada that kids can come to and get their IV chemotherapy or blood transfusions.
Amazing.
And that happens because we have a really special group of doctors and nurses and volunteer camp counselors who come up to camp and make camp possible in a really accessible environment. We also are in hospitals and in communities across the province to make sure that we can meet kids where they're at and bring that kind of friendship and fun and what we like to call the magic of Ooch to kids year round, because there is so many tough points of being a kid with going through a cancer journey, and we want to be there to have fun with it and bring that joy back. We sometimes called the social cure for cancer by many parents and doctors and nurses. They see kids become themselves again.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. Must be very rewarding working in an organization. How long have you been with the firm?
I've been with Ooch for just about 3 years, and it's completely rewarding to see kids get to be getting IV chemotherapy in the med shed in the morning and out jumping in the lake shortly thereafter.
Awesome.
Doesn't happen many places in the world.
So we obviously have some pretty big events. So this year we've got the Toronto.
We have Toronto Sporting Life 10K, and we're actually in Ottawa too, which is
I
awesome
that.
on Mother's Day. And then we do all sorts of activities throughout the year. And, we're also powered by over 550 volunteers who dedicate their time to be camp counselors up at camp. Wow. So, Ooch is about the whole community coming together to create these amazing experiences for kids and their families.
So you said that camp, you're doing the programming all year round, but is camp like a specific time of year and for like a 2-week period or something like that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we do a couple of different sessions of camp in the summer at our overnight camp at Ooch, Muskoka, which is near the town of Rosso. And so kids can come up for a 1-week session or for 2-week sessions, depending on the type of program. We actually also offer a high school credit recovery program, so they can get their grade 11 gym credit up at camp, because when kids are going through a cancer treatment, they often miss a lot of school.
Yeah.
And then we do day camps, so 1 or 2 week day camps in different communities across the province for either the really little kids, like 4 to 7 year olds, or just for kids who need to stay closer to home.
Awesome. So what are some of the awareness goals, or when you think of spreading this message? I know we talked a little earlier before we got onto the podcast just about how you're thinking of things now in terms of really developing the awareness and getting it into the hearts and minds of more people.
Yeah, so I think one of the amazing things about Ooch is that over the years we have grown because of the word of mouth that spreads through people who participate in events like the Sporting Life 10K, or our volunteers, or our camper families. And the more people who know about Ooch means the more people who are excited to help support and send kids to camp. Right. And I think we know right now there is about 2,400 kids across Ontario who don't have access to an oncology camp. That might be because their family is new to the concept of camp. Not all of us grew up going to camp. I don't know if you guys did.
No, absolutely.
And sometimes it's because they're in cities that are more remote, and we need to bring camp to them to help them understand. I'm sure you can appreciate that if you've had a child going through cancer, to send them off to an overnight camp hundreds of miles or kilometers away is
comfortable with
you
that.
want to build trust with that organization first. So I think Ooch, through the amazing supporters of the Sporting Life 10K and through our community, is really trying to reach out across the province to meet more kids and to introduce the organization so that everyone can know that we are here to serve kids affected by childhood cancer and give them those magical experiences.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
So you talked a little earlier about the capital raise that you did and to develop the camps. Did you want to talk a little bit about kind of how that made a huge difference?
Yeah.
What that was about?
Yeah. In 2012, we did a study, a pro bono study with the 2 other oncology camps that exist in Ontario. And collectively, we learned that only 21% of kids affected by childhood cancer have access to an oncology camp. And so that's for a few different reasons. But one, we were also finding that our camp in Muskoka was running out of room. We don't want to turn kids away. We don't charge anything for our programs to families. And so we needed to look at ways to accommodate more kids as we met them. And so we expanded Ooch Muskoka. We built 2 new camper cabins, a fully accessible dining hall that took into account some of the accommodations that our campers need support with, as well as a brand new med shed. And it's not a shed at all. It is like having a mini hospital up north, but in the best way possible so that we can provide support and care for our campers. So recently we wrapped up a $35 million capital campaign to make that all possible. And I'm happy to say in the last 3 years that I've worked at Ooch, more and more kids every year are coming to camp. I feel like I'm often saying, it's been a record-breaking year. And that's a great news story because I think it means that through events like the Sporting Life 10K, we're able to raise awareness, raise funds so that more kids get to go to camp.
Well, I know we're pretty excited about this year again, and I think what we were talking about earlier was just maybe not fully making that connection at the beginning. And you said you see that like oftentimes where they'll go to the event or the attraction kind of starts with the event piece or a corporate team building component, and then it's like, oh wow, okay, we see that there's more going on here, and this is a great cause, and keep involved into it. And that was our experience, but I think we're keen to make that a part of this year and years to come.
Yeah, we're building up toward it both on the treadmill and
both require training, right?
Required training, exactly.
So true. Yeah.
and sort of getting the team behind it. Maybe if you don't mind, you can sort of give us sort of some different options for our listeners, how they might get involved or contribute. I mean, everyone knows where goosedigital.com is, and so reach out to us. But Kaylee, if you wouldn't mind just giving listeners some options in terms of getting involved or contributing, etc.
Yeah, well, first off, I want to say it's amazing to get involved in organizations that you're passionate about. I think if Ooch is something that you're interested in, you can visit ooch.org, ooch.org, nice. And there are so many different ways to get involved, whether that's volunteering at an event or as a program camp counselor, or to host your own event in your area, both either a digital event online or an actual event, or participate in something like the Sporting Life 10K. And if none of those are up your alley, you can also support teams like the Goose Digital team in their fundraising efforts to send more kids to camp.
Awesome.
Amazing. Well, I feel like that sort of wraps it up, but I mean, thank you for coming down and doing this with us.
Thank you.
I mean, we have a very big following on YouTube. Okay. Like we've got millions. So this is going to help.
Every little bit helps.
Every little bit does help. And I think we'll certainly be sending it through our base and we'll bring out some runners and bring out some donations and And some
Probably
walkers, and some walkers too,
Yeah.
Renata. I'm
Yeah,
not,
there's some walkers.
don't feel any pressure.
This is, what I love about the 10K is that it's actually an event for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you're actually walking, that to me is one of the more fun groups of people to be walking in, because you're joined by actually over 40 or 50 of our camper families who are dressed up in costumes
That's
and
what
walking
actually-
down the
That's right,
way.
yeah, we
That's
saw
what we
that.
noticed
That's-
last year, and because we were in the last wave,
Yeah.
the group
Yeah.
that I went with, and you get to see everybody in there in their matching shirts, and they've got balloons, and some of them are there to celebrate like survivors, that have really conquered something in the last year, which is quite exciting. So. That energy, I think the runners might miss that a little bit because we were waiting for quite a while to actually get started.
True,
So
yeah.
we've got a different vibe on the whole.
Yeah, and I know we're wrapping up, but I guess I'll share one story. It's that you saw some balloons. I don't know if you guys saw number 3 as you were walking.
Yes, yeah, we did see those. Yeah.
So we have a family, Stephanie and her family and Camper Keaton, and every year they walk the 10K with their entire family and group of friends. And they were celebrating last year 3 years since the day that Keaton took her last chemo pill. Wow. And that actually happened to be on the day of the Sporting Life 10K run 3 years before. So it's a really special time that family gets to come together and is surrounded by their entire network, and so many Torontonians who are supporting them.
Well, I know when we wrapped this up last year, and we have actually the letter out in the front of our office. We've framed it and put it up, but a lot of the material that gets sent through, I actually get it, but then I bring it to the office, and it's quite touching, the letters that you do put through to describe what's going on at the camp and the difference that's being made. Like I brought those to the office so people could sort of really see everything that you guys are putting out there. But I think that level of communication is spot on.
Well, I think it was interesting what you mentioned before when we were talking about how it's that opportunity for kids to not be the kid with cancer. It's that opportunity for them to actually just be the kid that wants to play, and to have that opportunity at a corporate level to help support that initiative is I think we're actually quite blessed to be able to do that for you guys and to be involved with you.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
Well, we don't survive without our community of supporters. So that's the bottom line.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Kaylee, for coming.
Thanks,
Thank
Kaylee.
you.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you,
All right.
guys.
All right.